9 days of silence. 9 days since the last video from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert dropped on YouTube. According to the press, the show won't air new episodes this week and is taking a 2-week break. But does a man who just vowed to topple an empire simply vanish into thin air? This is part of a fight to the finish, aimed straight at Donald Trump and the swamp surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. And Colbert knows one thing for sure. When you poke a wild beast, it bites back to survive.
It sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive.
It all started the moment he realized he'd been purged. Standing before the audience, he wasn't just a late-night host anymore. He was a martyr, a witness about to speak the ultimate truth. This wasn't a punchline. It was a direct challenge aimed at the darkest corners of power. Colbert knew exactly who he was up against, and he did not flinch. He promised a 10-month-long reckoning. Right up until the final day, he's allowed to stand on that legendary stage.
I am the martyr, okay? Okay, there's only room for one on this cross.
This execution was wrapped in the cold language of business. Paramount, the parent company, is in the middle of a massive merger, and according to Deadline, the new CEO Jeff Shell plans to reclaim the 10 p.m. primetime slot, a move that would wipe Colbert's show off the map. The announcement has already been made official. CBS stated that canceling The Late Show was purely a financial decision in an increasingly difficult late-night market. But for anyone who's watched Colbert's blistering takedowns of Trump, it feels more like the perfect excuse to silence the most dangerous dissenting voice in America. From the other side, the reaction wasn't just smug satisfaction. It carried the chilling tone of a victor who already knew how this would end. Trump's post wasn't simply an insult, it read like a pre-written obituary, a declaration of absolute power from the presidential throne.
And now for the next 10 months, the gloves are off. I can finally... I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now.
Colbert fired back immediately, with the contempt and recklessness of a man who had nothing left to lose, launching a sharp jab straight at his enemy.
I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings.
But this battle was never really about insults or ratings. Colbert touched something far more dangerous. A web of crime and silence, woven deep into America's elite. The buried truth about Jeffrey Epstein. That's the Pandora's box he was about to open, and it may well explain the current silence. He had evidence, chilling testimonies of what took place behind the closed doors of those lavish mansions.
How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
This is no longer about politics. It's about proof of crimes. And then, Colbert got his hands on the ultimate weapon, something that could bring anyone down. A handwritten letter from Trump to Epstein, exposed by the Wall Street Journal.
And he brought out these snapshots, maybe a dozen of them, and they were of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump with a variety of the girls who frequented Epstein's house.
A man holding a truth that lethal doesn't just get snuffed out by a so-called business decision. Trump's denial of the allegation didn't sound like the words of an innocent man. It was the voice of someone cornered, panicked, and flailing, trying to distract with meaningless noise.
This is not me. I never wrote a picture in my life. No, it's true, folks. Listen up. I never wrote a picture. I never painted a novel. I never baked a song, and my brain is not melting and pooling up around my swollen ankles.
That panic had a reason. Colbert had locked on to the fatal weak spot. The ruthless absurdity inside Trump's mind. A man whose warped value system sees losing staff as a greater offense than the crime of trafficking underage girls.
For years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate.
Finally, some moral backbone. He did something inappropriate, and that was?
He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me.
Colbert laid that absurdity bare with razor-sharp precision.
Sorry, Jeff, underage trafficking is one thing, but I draw the line at you stealing my omelet man, okay?
A man who openly admits his contempt for his own supporters. What wouldn't he do? To silence an enemy about to expose everything.
We need every voter. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
Colbert refused to let this raw truth be buried.
I'm not saying that Trump doesn't care about his followers, but Trump is saying it.
The right-wing media machine seemed to jump in to clear the path. Fox News quickly tore into Colbert, calling his performance pretty awful, and spinning his ouster as just a business flop, an effort to normalize an abnormal event and cast doubt on his motives.
Actually pretty terrible. The impression was terrible, the lack of comedy that was presented there. He was just an extreme partisan.
They tried to turn a fight for the truth into nothing more than a business issue.
And I think at the end of the day, it was a business decision. They can say it was about the settlement and all that. At the end of the day, if he was delivering, they would have kept him. And he wasn't.
But nobody's buying that story, right? The truth is, the promise to declassify the Epstein files still hangs in the air, an unplayed political ace, a pledge made only to pacify the public.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Could it be that Colbert uncovered that list himself? Was he preparing to release it? And is that why he was forced into silence? While politicians play cat and mouse with the truth, the victims are left on the sidelines. High-level White House meetings about Epstein happen without them, a clear sign that the goal is political damage control, not justice. This row T has seeped deep into society, breeding exhaustion and corrosive skepticism. In a country struggling with skyrocketing living costs, where the so-called monthly nut keeps ballooning, the power games of the elite feel especially grotesque. South Park captured that fury, mocking not only the politicians, but also the manosphere, those dark corners of the internet where rage and conspiracy theories multiply. For ordinary people just trying to scrape by, the truth about the crimes of the ultra-wealthy risks being reduced to a bleak joke. A coping mechanism for sheer helplessness.
Yeah, you know Epstein's innocent, bro.
That's the funniest development. Like, we are going to unveil the truth once and for all. Turns out the guy was just a guy,
regular guy
struggling in the world just like all of us. That was some bullshit, bro. Also innocent of.
Now, one of the few voices willing to confront the truth head-on has gone dark. The Ed Sullivan Theater, a landmark of American culture praised by The Hollywood Reporter, a stage that once shaped television history, now sits in an uncanny silence. And that silence weighs heavier than the absence of just one show. It feels like a warning. Colbert's final words still echo in that void. They made a mistake. They let me live. Maybe it was a miscalculation. Or maybe they're just waiting. And this so-called disappearance is the next move in their game. 9 days have passed. And in the shadows of power and buried secrets, only one question remains. Is Stephen Colbert truly gone? Or is he preparing for one last counterattack? Whatever this silence is, it's part of the war. And it's more terrifying than any words could ever be.